Okay, good morning everyone. I think we figured out everything with the presentations. Welcome to the second session of the second day of the Regional Internet Development Dialogues, the first one here in Africa. I hope everyone has had a good night's sleep and that you're ready to engage on the topic of internet and the economy today. If you haven't had a good night's sleep, if you're still in the thinking of education, that's also fine. One of the purposes why we had these two topics is, and as you know, they're highly related between education and the economy. Especially if we're thinking about, for example, innovation, which we'll be talking about more today on this panel and further on today. But also if we're talking about growing the general ICT sector and keep that in mind, that the lessons from yesterday can be useful even today. But as we also learned from the presentation this morning and the following discussions, there's more pieces to the puzzle than just education. And that's what we'll be focusing on in this session. And to this end, it's my pleasure to introduce our first group of speakers who will share some of their experiences from some of the success stories in the internet economy in Africa today. And the idea here is really to give us a kind of variety of perspectives and to identify some of the key issues involved, both starting with looking at some of the interesting cases of innovative startups, at the innovation hubs that can promote these startups, but also to take a wider perspective and look at the role of government and e-government services in particular. So I would like to start with just a brief introduction of our speakers. So to our far left here, we have Mr. Evans Kahuthu from the Kenyan ICT Authority, who will be giving us the perspective of the government's role in promoting policies for the internet economy. To my left, we have Mr. Martin Obuya, who's the chair and president of ISOC's Kenyan chapter. To my immediate right, we have Mr. Clement Uwajeneza from Rwanda Online, which is a very interesting company that has been helping with promoting e-government services here in Rwanda. And to my right as well, we have Mr. Alex Masika from BRCK, which is a technology company in Kenya and that has been promoting some very interesting and innovative solutions on how to expand internet access. As we did yesterday, we would like to save all of the questions towards the end of the session, so please keep your notes and keep track of your questions so that we can save them towards the end. But I would like to start with introducing Mr. Alex Masika again, who I think will give us some inspiring examples of innovative startups and I think help us set the tone for the discussions today. Alex has a long career in the energy and ICT sector, having worked with, among others, Chevron Energy, Digital Divide Data, and Google, and today he's the head of corporate sales at BRCK, this very interesting, innovative company in Kenya. So, Alex, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, so as you heard, my name is Alex Masika. I come from BRCK Limited. This is an innovative company that is based in Kenya. So we do a lot of exciting innovations. So we have a rugged router, we have an education system, and we also create microservers. Our mission is connecting Africa, so most of our products are based around connectivity. So a few statistics or facts about Kenya, maybe some of you do not know. So we are a company based in East Africa, and we have one of the smartest people in the world. We are also known for our athletics. So you know, we always win all the marathons in the world. We are also the only country with a national park in the capital city. So you're all invited to come to Nairobi. And we are getting into the elections in August, so pray for us. Our peace is important for the region. Yeah, so Kenya is a home for the home to great innovations. When you think of Kenya, some of the innovations that have been mentioned here, you know, like M-Pesa, these are some of the world-renowned innovations that have come from our country. And part of the reason that we have great innovations is because of the great environment that the country has provided that has enabled people to come up with these great innovations. Some of the enabling factors that have made us excel in this is broadband connectivity, for example. We are ranked as having one of the fastest internet speeds in the world. We are ahead of South Africa, we are ahead of countries like Israel, and globally we are ranked 23 in terms of internet connectivity. This has mainly been attributed to the support of the government, which my colleagues will later talk about. The government has implemented the National Broadband Strategy that has enabled almost all corners of Kenya be connected to the internet. And we've also rolled out 4G connectivity. Another enabling factor is connectivity to the grid. In sub-Saharan Africa, nearly 600 people are not connected to electricity. And as we know, most of the economies are dependent on electricity. And particularly the ICT sector, because this is where e-commerce thrives. And connectivity to the grid is very important. In Kenya, we've implemented the last mile connectivity project that aims to connect the whole country to the grid. And this is one of the government initiatives to ensure that there's increased economic activity in industrial services, agriculture, and the social well-being of the Kenyans. We also have a very high smartphone penetration in Africa. Kenya has about 90% mobile penetration, and smartphone intake continues to increase tremendously. Increase in mobile smartphone penetration has also increased e-commerce activities, and which is a good thing because most startups actually rely on smartphones because of the payment platforms. Another factor is the government support and also the presence of hubs that support innovators. So we have government bodies like the ICT Authority, which we'll hear more about later, whose vision is actually to transform Kenya into a regional ICT hub. The government also implemented the ICT Master Plan, which aims at creating enabling policies and the legal framework to support the ICT industry. So, I'll go straight ahead and mention some of the successful startups in Kenya. Earlier on, I talked about M-Pesa, which is globally known. We also have other companies like BRCK, which I work for. You can actually go online and Google www.brck.com. So this is a company that has developed, I think, the first rugged router that is the only product from Africa that has been featured in the New York Museum for Innovation. At BRCK, we have also developed a digital solution known as a KioKit. So it's a holistic solution. So this is basically a box that has tablets in it, it has content in it, it supports wireless charging, and it's basically been built to work in Africa. We also have innovative companies like M-Copper, which is an innovative asset financing company that sells home systems to off-grid households in Kenya at affordable 12-month mobile money payment platforms. We have companies like Sendy. This is a company that has developed an app that connects independent riders with clients that need courier services. If any one of you has been to Nairobi, Nairobi is known for really bad traffic jams. So Stendi has come up with an innovative way of making sure that your parcel is delivered on time. We have Changa. Changa means contribute in Swahili. So they've developed a mobile and online platform that helps users raise funds through mobile money payment platforms. It sort of works like the GoFundMe. Yeah, so this saves you planning costs. You know, in Africa we do a lot of, we call them harambes, calling people together to help contribute for certain causes. So this saves you a lot of planning and booking for venues and all that. We also have a company called Chura. Chura actually means frog in Swahili. And this was started by a group of university students. So it allows users to leap between mobile money services in different networks. Customers can also exchange airtime for money across the networks. We also have a company called MOOC. This is where merchants sell digital content and even ticket and other assorted products to organizations online. We also have educational innovations. So we have companies like Eneza, we have companies like Elimu, who have developed digital education content. So these are just a few of the examples. I mean, there are many other startups in Kenya. And these are the ones that are thriving. I forgot to mention Little Ride, which is like a cab, almost like an Uber service that has been developed in Kenya. So in conclusion, I'd like to say Kenya has a thriving startup industry. And as I mentioned, as you saw in the enabling factors, the government has provided an environment that has enabled the youth to really get involved into startups. And this has also enabled, you know, the emergence of e-commerce. As you know, e-commerce offers the potential the potential benefits to enterprises in the form of enhanced participation in the international value chains. Yesterday I had a conversation with Dawit, and we were mainly talking about the future of internet in the next 5 years. Perhaps this is a question that we should be asking ourselves. I mean, where are we going in the next 5 years with the emergence of internet and startups? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. And to follow up on Alex's presentation on innovation, we'll now turn to Mr. Martin Obuya from the ISOC's Kenyan chapter. He's the president and chairman. He's also the founder and chairman of Lijome Group, a company, and also a member of a number of technical committees in the ITU and ATU. So Martin will tell us a little bit more about the innovation hubs that can promote these innovations that we've heard about from Alex. So Martin, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Good morning. Looks like everybody had a late night. I will not mention names, but some people I know slept late. It's good to see them here. My name is Martin Obuya. I'm the president of ISOC Kenya. I can see Mitch is laughing there. And today I'm going to talk about hubs as a catalyst for innovation in Africa. And just to follow up on what Alex said about innovation in Kenya, but I'm going to talk more about Africa itself as a continent, so I'm not going to talk about Kenyan startups. The only thing Alex forgot to mention is the other good thing Kenya is known for is rugby sevens. And the team is now in Paris, France playing. Okay, let's get to the business and okay, let me start with this. This is information courtesy of GSMA, the accelerator program, in terms of the active non-technology hubs in Africa. This is a report that was released last year in July. So it shows there are about 314, that is as July last year. So I think now they've gone to about 400. These are the ones who are recorded. I know the others which are not kind of recorded, so the figure could go up above, but what we have is about 400 as we speak. So if you look at the concentration, most of them are concentrated within Kenya, Cairo in Egypt, and also South Africa, a bit of West Africa, and the rest, especially Nigeria, Ghana, and Senegal. So let me talk about some of the challenges that these innovation hubs face. One of the biggest challenges is infrastructure. As you know, Africa, there is the issue of the last mile connectivity and also the issue of availability and affordability of the infrastructure. When I talk about infrastructure, I'm talking about connectivity. The other challenge they face is also getting an office space where to actually conduct their day-to-day activity. The other one is actually also power. Power can be available in the urban areas, but remote places, electricity and other forms of solar power is rare. So you find this leads to most of the hubs being concentrated in urban areas, which is not really a good picture because innovation is not restricted in urban areas. You can find people in remote places with very good ideas, but they don't have the facility, a place to showcase their creativity. The other challenge now when it comes to capital is finance. Most of the hubs are actually created by, say, foreign investments which are coming, and it's not the pioneers are not really the locals who started. It's foreign investors who came in, money, and for the locals, the challenge is getting the capital to start some of these hubs. Okay. The other challenge they also face is legal, which is the IP and copyrights. We still have a big problem in Africa in terms of protecting our ideas. I know the World Intellectual Property Organization has tried and is still doing good work in terms of trying to protect these ideas. But the challenge is also upon the local community to see how they can help protect these ideas. Other countries have tried, and even their law societies, their group of lawyers are trying to see how they can give a subsidized pricing for the startups to enable them to protect their ideas. The other challenge is expertise, getting the right people to run the place. Most of the experts are taken up in other jobs, and the other caliber, you have fresh other graduates who are coming in the industry, and they're also not quite conversant with the trends that are coming up. So there's still the issue of getting the right mix of experts to handle the technical platform. The fifth challenge probably is the government itself, the African governments, in terms of encouraging the hubs. Most African governments don't have a clear-cut or well-defined policy in terms of encouraging the growth of hubs. There's a mix and match, and most of these hubs are just bundleized as SMEs, with no clear policies on how they can be encouraged. Other countries are now coming up with what is called special economic zones, where they're trying to see how they can get startups, they can get the hubs to create startups and kind of exempt them from some taxation. So we clearly need the African governments to come up with clear policies to enable the hubs to grow. So on this slide, I'm just talking about a few success stories. COP has been mentioned. There's Roca TV, Kuga, there's Eneza, which has also been mentioned. These are just a few. I couldn't capture all of them because there are so many from West Africa and even South Africa. But these are some of the few success stories that are known across the African continent. And it's encouraging to see the kind of figures and the money these companies have generated. Some over a period of 1 year, others over a period of 3 years. So let me just move on to the other dark side of the success stories. There have also been serious failures in terms of companies winding up. Others have found themselves pushing a product and not actually implementing in terms of just doing a fundraising for the product. And they don't meet the market demand, and others close fast because of different reasons amongst the directors. And these are some of the examples we have for Africa. And I will also, I hope this can share these slides so you can look at them in details. I've just mixed some from South Africa, some from Nigeria, Ghana, and also Kenya. Now, what is the future for the hubs in Africa? There is a consortium of, it's called AfriLabs, which is the largest technology network of 50 labs in 20 countries that was formed in 2011. So this consortium enables the labs to share information in terms of looking for funds. They also have technical exchange. And also they have cross-border pollination where they can do projects jointly. So this AfriLabs now enables the new coming labs not to make the same mistakes that the initial labs made, and also have an opportunity to have some of their staff trained in different parts of Africa. So AfriLabs is actually doing a great job, and it's part of the trend that we hope to see happening, and we hope to see more members joining AfriLabs. Now, in conclusion, what is the future now for the hubs, and who are some of the key players? I've just listed them. There's Orange, there's Total, there's MasterCard, Demo Africa. Some of these people organize events and challenges in terms of hackathons. Others have also set up a venture fund like Barclays, Vodafone, IBM. There's also African Development Bank, World Bank. And the role now for hubs, it will be like the breeding ground for that cross-pollination and enabling both the financier and the government come up with policies that will all enable startups to grow. So that's what I have for this morning, and I hope we'll engage more in terms of the questions, and let's get to know what else the hubs can do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin. Next on our list of speakers is Mr. Evans Kahuthu, who's the project manager for information security at the ICT Authority in Kenya. And Evans will help us zoom out even a little bit further and talk about more about the overall policies included in growing an internet economy. Thank you.
Good morning. For me, I'm going to talking about what my employer does. So I'll go straight to the presentation. Okay. In as far as Kenya is concerned, I guess my two former speakers have actually given you quick facts on Kenya. So I will not repeat them, but I would like to highlight a few things where I would like to actually go to the bottom left and talk about the mobile subscription. Currently, as of December 2016, the official number of mobile subscribers in Kenya is at 38.9 million. So that is almost We have a population of 42 million, so most of the adult population all have a phone. And the other interesting statistic here is that in the last quarter, that is September to December 2016, which was officially reported by the Communication Authority of Kenya, there was a total of 1 trillion Kenya shillings, which was transferred or transacted. Also, that period, there was also a total of 161,000 mobile money agents in Kenya. And the mobile money commerce recorded a total of 262 million transactions, which was actually valued at 586 billion. Now, for the government, the role of government in all this has actually been anchored in what is called the Vision 2030. Kenya has a blueprint document which highlights where Kenya wants to be by 2030, which is going to be a middle income country. Coming from the Vision 2030, a lot of things which have been achieved is we now have a total of 5,500 kilometers of terrestrial fiber, which connects all the 47 counties. And we are currently working on additional 1,600 kilometers of fiber to provide for redundancy in all the counties. The other achievement in terms of legislation is we already have, as of last year, the Access to Information Act now, which was passed last year. We also have the broadband strategy, which is currently actually due for review. Out of the broadband strategy, there has been identification of the gap for internet connectivity. And one of the things that has happened is for the rural places where the ISPs have neglected, there's already trial for the white space technology, which has already been done and proven to work. And this is going to be rolled out in most of the far-fetched areas. Also, the government has come up with services closer to the people through a concept called Huduma Centers. So the whole idea is it's a one-stop shop where you walk in and all government services are offered there. In addition, the government has also done funding to the private sector to set up what is called a Pasha Center or informational center where citizens can go and get information about the government, including how to subscribe for government services. And this is through loans which have no interest. In addition, there is also a shared services master plan, which is being used to actually cut costs on implementation of government applications countrywide. On the side of the capacity, through an executive order by the president, there is a program called the Presidential Digital Talent Program, where university students who graduate are actually absorbed into government for a period of 1 year. And this actually is a partnership between government and private sector, where for the 1 year, the students are given internship opportunities to practice in both government and private sector in readiness for the market. In the process, the capacity building is actually assisting most of the students acquire the necessary skills in readiness for employment. The other thing that is happening right now is there's a lot of graduate students who are coming from our universities. Most of the universities which are offering ICT courses have a lot of smart students who can actually do a lot of IT work. So the government has set up what is called an Ajira program, where people can look for work online through the Ajira portal. Now, the biggest hurdle in terms of going online has actually been the payment part, simply because payment is where corruption comes in. So the government has actually moved into digital payment. And the whole idea of moving into digital payment is actually to reduce interaction of cash with the human, and that is actually reducing the corruption and also creating efficiency in terms of service delivery. the same time, most of the government services are now going online, where if you need any government service, you don't need to actually visit a government office anymore, because you can actually have them accessible online. One of the success stories of the government online services is a portal called eCitizen. And through the eCitizen portal, people are now able to get most of the government services. Currently, at the eCitizen portal, we have 207 services available online. We've so far been able to collect 12.45 billion through the portal, and we have 5.93 unique Kenyans registered for services online. We have 3 county governments who also offer their services through the same portal, and we are looking into getting more counties to join. What is slowing down the process is, of course, cybercrime, and the government is alive to the fact that without guaranteeing the trust online, then the digital takeoff will actually be impossible. So some of the interventions that the government has done is it's come up with regulations on cybersecurity, which include the development of Computer and Cybercrime Bill 2016. This has actually been approved by our cabinet and is on its way to Parliament. So we are hopefully by the end of this year, based on the political situation, we should have a Computer and Cybercrime Act, which is going to also help in promotion of online transactions. The other thing that exists in terms of cybersecurity governance in Kenya, they've set up a framework where there is already a well-defined way of how cybersecurity is managed within the country. The topmost, of course, is the president, and then it has other representatives within the ministry. So the whole idea is any cyber issue which has national interest, the president is supposed to be briefed. And this has actually been very helpful, because it has also helped the executive push for more funding towards digital growth. Looking forward, one of the biggest projects underway is the Konza technology, and this is going to be the exclusive ICT pack for all ICT companies. Currently, there's been interest from the Korean government, notably universities and a few Korean companies who are supposed to be setting up shop. Already they've broken ground, and we are looking for more companies to come in. Also, since Kenya, based on the constitution, we have 47 counties, the idea is also to align the counties to also automate their services. So what the main government, the national government, has done, it has already done ICT plans for the counties to align them with the national government. So all the counties right now, all their ICT projects are also aligned towards digital, so that everybody is in sync. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much, Evan. Thank you very much. Hopefully we can use that last slide for the end of the session as well with the questions. For our last speaker, I would like to introduce Mr. Clement Uwajeneza. Clement is the CEO of Rwanda Online, which is a private company which is providing e-government services. He's also the chair of Rwanda ICT Chamber and a board member of Rwanda's Private Sector Federation. Of special note, given that we're talking about innovation and entrepreneurship, is that Clement is also an awardee for Outstanding Young Rwanda Entrepreneur in 2014. So I'd like to invite Clement to make his presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'll just make an intervention. Do I have to go there? It's better. Yeah, I can. Yeah. So I'll introduce the company I'm leading, Rwanda Online, and what we do. But my focus will be on outlining how we are using the ecosystems that we've already put in place through digitization of government to avail them, so to become a platform for more innovations and use of technology to solve or to provide more services other than government services. So Rwanda Online was set up at the end of 2014, beginning 2015, as a public-private partnership with the government of Rwanda, and with a mission to digitize all transactional services of the government. Transactional services, we understand, services where a citizen applies for something, there is an operations that happen, and at the end of the operation, the citizen receives some products, a certificate, a license, a registration to something, a school, or passing a driving license test. So those are transactional services, and those are the scope of our work. So we launched our product, Irembo, in 2015, July 2015, and today Irembo provides 50 transactional government services to citizens, and we process on average 250,000 transactions a month. For us to provide these services to all the Rwandans, taking in consideration a low level of internet penetration, which is at I think today 24%. So providing all these services to all Rwandans, we had to increase our access channel to the service, and people can access our service through 3 channels: the internet, using our portal irembo.gov.rw, or using a smartphone. They can access some of the services using a mobile feature phone. We have about 15 services on the 50 that are accessible through feature phone, because they do not require any upload of document. And then our last channel, and which is the most used, accounting for I think this month 47% of our transactions, are people who access our service through a network of agents. So we have about 1,400 agents covering the whole Rwanda, which are branded Irembo, and which get training and get enabled by owning a laptop, a scanner, a small printer, sometimes more, and are able to assist citizens accessing government services closer to them without having to go through to the government office. So this last category of users are the service access channel is the most interesting to us today, because in addition to allowing more Rwandans accessing our service, but also having these agents interacting with the citizen, it has become the best way for us to actually understand the market, understand the needs of the population when it comes to making it easier for them to accessing government services, and our biggest source of insights for us to constantly innovate around what we are doing and around government services. So secondly, our network of agents, which is growing faster, and which we have set up within a business model where they earn revenue based on the number of citizens that they have assisted. In this case, 200 Rwandan francs for each citizen that they assist. Then it has accelerated and has nurtured entrepreneurship around this use of internet and computer devices. By the way, I want to highlight that some of our agents don't even use a computer. They use just a tablet and can actually perform or complete transaction without any computer, and are more mobile, so they can even get closer to citizen. So them using internet and connected devices to provide service and making a living for themselves has accelerated and is continuing to accelerate the number of agents we have within our ecosystem. So we at Rwanda Online have been thinking of how we can use how we can use this ecosystem of agents to enable more innovation in different other areas of business. Our thinking is, when we had to set up our network of agents, we had to put in a substantial investment to build their capacity, to motivate them to actually invest in the devices that allow them to provide these services, but also motivating them to do this investment by getting them to believe in the business model and the marketability. In this case, it was easy for us because most of the citizens or all of the Rwandans need government service at any stage, wherever they are. Now, if we think of an innovator who wants to provide service around agriculture, it can be content-based service that they need to have a big reach within the shortest time possible for this agricultural content or agricultural services. How can we make this ecosystem of agents as accessible as possible for all these innovators? And this is not only to avail them as another channel to access services, but also a channel to creating business models that onboard and accelerate the delivery of these services, and in an easy and as easy as possible, without having these these innovators having to go interact directly with these 1,400 plus agents, but rather interacting with them through our already existing ecosystem of ongoing trainings, ongoing capacity building, and of course the revenue model and how we actually get to pay them as fast as possible for whenever they assist a citizen. So for this, we have created an initiative called Akagari Digital Hubs, which basically puts together, Kagari is the smallest local administration entity in Rwanda, and making sure there is an agent covering each Akagari, which means covering every Rwandan within a radius of 2 kilometers, and availing this Akagari ecosystem to all the innovators who would need to use it, so to get their e-services being accessible to all Rwandans in the fastest manner possible. Secondly, within our initiative to onboarding as many government services as possible, we have now been in existence for the last 2 years and have put 50 government services online. Our aim and mandate is to have 100 government service online by the end of 2017, but also by the end of 2019 have all possible government services being provided on our platform. We estimate them to be somewhere between 400 and 500 government services. How can we avail our technology platform that is combined by, that is a combination of common services that one would need to be able to put a service online? It combines, of course, the online platform and the enterprise service bus that allow us to interconnect with all government institutions. It has a payment system that not only allows people to pay using electronic means. We have mobile money operators, all are connected to our platform. People are able to pay with payment debit and credit cards, and other physical channels like branch or agent banking. So how can we avail this? And also, of course, the payment system integrates settlement between the different institutions, government institutions providing this service. How can we also avail this common component as a component for other people to innovate around government service? So we have initiated a program that will be launched towards the end of this year, where we will release a number of APIs and allow developers to not only work along us to put more government service online without having to be the only company that's putting individual services online. And of course, we would avail this common platform for that to happen, but also enabling innovators. innovate around government service we already have online. So the way we develop or we put government service online, though it adds a number of innovations and simplification of the process of accessing government service, we believe there is huge amounts of innovations that still can be done. And by basically being open and opening our e-government platform so that it becomes a platform that allows any developer to add more service and to innovate around services that exist is going to accelerate also the innovation within the government ecosystem. So I think this summarizes our initiatives and our approaches to make sure that we leverage this platform that has already a big amount of a big number of users. So leveraging the whole ecosystem to opening up and making it possible for people to innovate, and therefore accelerating adoption of the internet in general, but also simplification of service through use of technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would now like to turn to the participants, and we will open up for questions. Yes, please.
Good morning.
Please state your name. And
my name is
directed to
Habib Youssef. I'm a general manager of Centre de Calcul Khwarizmi, which is the internet and service provider for the entire academic community within Tunisia, and the manager of the NRN there, as well a university professor also at the University of Sousse. My question is to Clement and to the Kenyan colleagues with respect to e-government services. I would like to, if you can, give us a few statistics on the eGov services that you put in place, the most important, most used to the least used in your own countries, and as well as are they typically e-government services oriented toward your citizens or toward, for example, tourists or foreigners coming to the country? And for those who are oriented to your citizens, how did you resolve the issue of unique identifier for your citizen? How do you identify your citizen? Did you generate a new identifier, or did you rely on something that already exists there? That's about it.
Thank you very much. Evans, would you like to start?
Okay, thank you, Habib. Okay, like I mentioned, we have 207 government services. I won't list all of them. The one that has most impact is the National Transport and Safety Authority. This has to do with the issue of driver license. Before the e-government service was rolled online, we used to have the colonial booklet. I don't know if you've ever seen. We have a very big driver license, which actually is the size of a pass. But anyway, the point was people used to get a lot of fake driver license, equivalent to the government. So even the police, they wouldn't tell fake from the real one. Now, with this one now, when you go online, you're able to be issued with sort of like a barcode that is associated with the driver license. So what happens is that if a police stops you, you don't need to have the booklet. All you need to know is the reference number, and the police can be able to key in the mobile number and verify that actually it's the real one. So for most of us, it makes a lot of sense because I have it on my email. So as long as I have access to my email, I can always show the police. But in terms of the unique identifier, we've gone a bit not complicated. For the e-citizen service, for you to register, all you need is your ID and your mobile number. Luckily, there's a regulation that for you to have a phone number, it must be registered. So if I give you my phone number, if I have a active SIM, then it has an active ID associated with it. So for the e-citizen, in the meantime, just for the sake of takeoff, all you need is your ID and your phone number. So once you register, you get an SMS. So your phone is very critical for all these services as you move ahead. The other most used application is land search. For you to get any information on land, you used to go to the Ministry of Land, pay 500 shillings, and then they do a search which would take like a week if you're successful or if you are lucky. But now you don't need to do that, you do it online. We've also done the civil registration department for the registration of birth and death. And sadly, we also have done for the marriages, so you cannot lie that you are not married, for those who want to be polygamous. So a lot of these things have been now digitized. And the other very important for the counties, they've also digitized the permits to do business. Because before you would go to the county and they tell you you need, let's say, 40 permits, while in essence you only need 3. So they charge you for 40, but you need 3. So now with the e-citizen, you are able to actually have a breakdown of exactly what you need and you pay for it. And since there is no interaction between cash and the person serving you, then we are seeing a lot of efficiency. So those are the most used. One more mostly used is the visa for the foreigners. So if you want to come to Kenya, you can actually apply for your visa online and it's issued online. So when you get at the airport now, all you need to do is show your printout and the immigration officer is able to key in your reference number and confirm that you have a visa. So that is also very important for people traveling to Kenya. So I hope you're coming to Kenya. Thank you.
It really feels very similar. When it comes to unique identification, we use the same methodology. Our ID and a phone number, and we also have the two matching, so we always verify that you have a verified number that's matching your ID. So that's how we use the unique identification. What I would add is that we also categorize services depending on how they are still provided, because sometimes there is still a combination of online application, but you receive the document by going to the final document by going to collect it at the agency. So in some cases, really there is no need to have a hard identification of the applicant, by just allowing people to apply as guests and then complete their application, pay for their application using one of our electronic payment means, and tracking the application status is when it's not really that confidential. We sometimes remove the need to have a registration. So it depends on the services, on different services. So the most used services are around civil registration and also driving license and anything to do to applying to pass driving license test, to renewing your driving license. Within this category, when it comes to civil status, we have about 13 services, from registering a newborn, registering a marriage, applying for marriage certificates. All the civil status services are the most used. Now, when we rather categorize or the statistics that are of most interest to us are really how people interact with different types of services. So I want to give two examples. When it comes to applying for a birth certificate, 80% of the users will be doing this through 80% of the users will be doing it through agents. This is a service that any Rwandan will need a birth certificate at least maybe once a year, or I mean not all of them, but a good majority, and it covers all categories of people. And this, you have the usage rate rather being 80% of the people approaching and one of our agents so to apply for this service. Yet it's also available on a feature phone, which 80% of Rwandan already have, and it's also of course available through the online channel. So 80%, maybe about 19% using it, accessing it through USSD, and 1% accessing it themselves online. So why is it? Why are this metric important? Is because we track our success by how we increase the number of people who do it themselves without having to go to an agent, because then that means the experience becomes more easier for them. Now, if you look at a service like renewal of driving license, you have about 85% of the users doing it themselves using the phone, about it using the online service, and about 5% doing it through an agent. So this completely changes, and the difference shows us basically the type of demographic and how they prefer to accessing the service, and actually how or what we can do for the service to be fully online, for people to really prefer doing it themselves rather than going through an agent or going to inquire at a government office on how to do this. And yeah, I think these are also interesting statistics to mention. We also, on the question if it's only targeting citizens, we have also visa services that target people who are visiting Rwanda, but also a group of services that allow people to, when in Rwanda, access foreigner services like requesting for work permit, registering an international NGO, and all the services that also would allow foreigners to more efficiently interact with our government. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Next question.
Voilà, merci, moi je vais parler en français.
I'll be speaking in French. I'm Ouattara, member of the Burkina Faso chapter. I work for Ouagatou University. I want to ask, my question goes to Mr. Clement, Rwanda Online. I'm delighted, I'm impressed by what you presented and how you're close to the citizen with the administration services. But my concerns, some of the question has been handled, but one of my remaining concern is, how do you verify authenticity of the document? Within the public administration, in a country, to have a citizenship certificate, they'll ask you to have the birth certificate of your mother, of your father. How will the service verify that the document is genuine? So what is the feedback? Once you apply, there's a way you can track that. But the remaining concern is how, but in a country, you apply for a service, the possibility is not, the process is almost the same as having the service. When you are physically before the clerk, that's when they remember you've submitted application. A citizenship certificate, they should give it to you within 3 days, but then he won't do it in 2 weeks. But when you come to them every day, reminding him of your request, that's when they do it. So what are the mechanisms that you set up in Rwanda so that once an application is submitted, the public administration agent has to process the request once it comes in?
Merci Ouattara.
Thank you, Ouattara. About the authenticity and feedback, I think your concerns are related. The ability or maybe the will to provide that service, that's to us. So we connect the citizen and the government agent who will give that service. So it's about the agent's will and ethics that they have and they need to provide that service. So they're not corrupt. They're not going to issue or use documents that are not genuine. So they have that will to provide the service to the citizen and to not provide that service as a favor, because it's not. And obviously you're driven by those ethics to give that service as quick as possible. The online services allow to accelerate and give more visibility to the performance by some government agents. So, but you cannot go around that some ethical issues if you don't have the will, the political will, and other measures in place to ensure that that mindset changes. So, which mindset is that? I have to provide quality service as timely as possible to any citizen who comes to me, without this having to look like a favor. And over the last few years in Rwanda, we've done a good job changing that mindset and how people perceive the service they give to the public and the ethical aspect as you provide this service. And as Irembo platform, most of the services that we provide online, because we prioritize the services that are most popular, have more impact with citizens. We collaborate with many agencies. We operate all the way to the sector level. There are 416 sectors that's under the districts, and we have statistics about service delivery. We know how many days on average it takes to issue a birth certificate at a given sector. How many days does it take for a clerk to make a click to send a text message to the citizen to come and collect the documents? So we have an interaction rate with our platform which was about 40%. So in 40% of cases, a government agent would use a platform and see how many people have been interacting with our platform, and then they would inform the applicant if they needed to provide additional documents, if they had to come and collect the document. Last month we were about 92%, so it's increasing tremendously all over the country. It doesn't have anything to do with the question, but the increase, performance increase, is due to the fact that most citizens want to have more services through Irembo, and we've invested more. Many agencies have invested in much more in computer equipment, and that is in good shape, and it helps them to provide the service on a timely basis.
Being told that we're running to the end of the session, but we will be continuing the discussion in roundtables after this. But before we close, I just wanted to invite one last question to the panelists. So if we have, yes, in the middle here.
Thank you, Chair. I want to raise a question to Evans. I think it's Evans from Kenya. You shared with us on what is being done to make the country more ready to access e-services. And you mentioned some statistics about your backbone, the fiber backbone. I just want ground, or in some areas you're using overhead fiber, and how is it financed?
Okay, yeah. We have the government-funded backbone, which is called the National Optic Fiber Infrastructure, that has actually been implemented underground. However, private companies also, for commercial reasons, are also running their own fiber, and they are also running them through electricity poles. And this is unfortunately only in cities. But between counties, there is the underground, and there is also interfacing with the private sector. So we also have dark fiber where the private companies can ride on in places where they don't want to put their fiber. So we have a mixture of both, only that government is strictly underground.
Thank you, Evans. Let me just add something. In terms of financing, you know, these are very expensive projects. So it's a triple P project. So we have the public-private partnership. So we have telcos and also government working together, and through also investors. So the financing is a triple P model, because one company itself cannot raise that kind of money. So when it comes to financing, it's a joint effort between the public and the private sector.
Thank you very much. As mentioned, we will soon go to roundtables, so if you have more questions, I'm sure there'll be opportunity to discuss them there. Also know that our panelists are eager to discuss with you, so I'm going to offer that you can approach them and follow up on the conversation in the lunch break, etc. But before we end, please join me in thanking our speakers for an excellent presentation.